Radio. This segment with Olin Buchanan of TexAgs.com is sponsored by Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, with over 40 group exercise classes Monday through Sunday on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
All right, here we go. Texas A&M 2-0, beat Kent State, and then went out to Boulder and survived under some circumstances when their quarterback Haynes King went down. He's out for some time. And Zach Calzada came in, and although it was at times erratic, when the game was on the line, it seemed like he just kind of went back to and just playing the game. And Olin Buchanan joins us, TexAgs.com. How much of what he did late in the game, not the 18 of 39, but what he did late in the game, gives A&M hope that they can get through this time without Haynes King?
Yeah, I think you just put it right. It gave them hope. It looked hopeless for about three quarters. He was missing wide open receivers and just making some bad decisions. But when it got to crunch time, first he led A&M on a drive that could have given them the lead, and then he scrambled and for what could have been a touchdown or at least a first down at the one, he tried to reach the ball over the goal line and lost it. So you lose a fumble into the end zone, and you're thinking, okay, now it's really over. Defense played great. He gets the ball back, and then he comes back and completes four passes on a drive, including an 18-yarder, which is threw about as nice a pass as you can throw, rolling to his left and throwing back across his body to Isaiah Spiller on a wheel route in the end zone and pulls it out. So I think you take two things. You say, all right, he showed that he had some ability, but and he got better and he played better in the fourth quarter. So it's almost like, I don't know, maybe the game slowed down for him. Maybe he finally, I think more than anything, he just settled down. I think he looked like he was unprepared and then almost hyperventilating to start the game, and it took him a while to settle down and just, play football.
How much will it help that he will get all the reps this week? And I know that in college it's probably not as bad as the NFL, where the backup might get 9 snaps in 3 days of practice, but how much will it help that he will be the number one guy this week?
Well, it's got to help. I don't know how much, but it's my understanding that the starter gets about 80% of the snaps in practice. And so he goes from getting 20% to 80%, working with, the first team and all those things. And also just understanding that he's going to start, that he's going to be the guy from, probably until at least November. So he goes in with a different mentality to get not just physically but mentally prepared.
Olin, good defense can win you some championships, huh? I mean, defense has been the story for them, especially in light of that injury.
Yeah, I think, what they're going to hope for is to pull off what Georgia pulled off in 2017. You might remember Jacob Eason getting hurt in the first game of the year, and then Jake Fromm took over and led them to an SEC championship and got them into the national championship game where they lost in overtime to Alabama. That would obviously be a best case scenario. I think the way they're going to take it and the way that it's almost coach speaking cliche, but I think it's never more correct than now, is you absolutely take it a week at a time and just hope that he gets better and keeps getting better. And you hope that defense keeps getting better and keeps getting better. The defense allowed a lot of yards in the first half, but they came up with a couple of big plays once they stopped them on downs. At the Colorado was at the A&M 5-yard line, so they got nothing. And another time, Colorado had 1st and 10 at the 22, and A&M threw them for losses on a couple of back-to-back plays. They missed a field goal, and then in the second half, just completely dominated. I think Colorado got 54 yards in the whole second half, and that's where the running back who was the Pac-12, he was the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year last year, so there's some ability there. So the defense played great. Can you count on your defense to play to that level every week? You sure hope so, but that's like expecting your pitcher to go out and give up no more than one run every game. He may do it a few times, but if that's what you're banking on, you're probably going to lose it.
No matter what conference you're in, you cannot look ahead. And obviously A&M has New Mexico, is that right, this week? And that should be fine. But then there's this game in a couple of weeks against a team that again, an overrated Texas. People got overmodulated with them after the win against Louisiana. And hell, I might have been one of them. But but they look good in how they did it with what Coach Pittman's building there. That game, all of a sudden, how much did that catch the attention of perhaps teams in the West Division?
Well, I think got everybody's attention. I don't got A&M's. Part of it is, I question how good Texas is in their offensive line and their defense. Okay, but if you're playing a team, if you're good and you're playing a team with issues, you're supposed to take advantage of them. And Arkansas certainly did. I think Arkansas is a team that overall doesn't have as much talent as most of the teams, or maybe even all of the teams, save Mississippi State in the SEC West. But Sam Pittman does a great job game planning. Barry Odom does a really good job on defense. And Sam Pittman motivates, and more than anything, and I've said this before, he coaches with common sense, which is things that they didn't do before. If something's working, he's going to keep doing that. Whereas the previous coach, sometimes when they were running the football and getting chunks of yardage, he still was, going to throw 40 times a game, and it just didn't make sense. Sam Pittman just brings Arkansas football back to common sense and, basic concepts that work.
Olin, what have you thought of the A&M offensive line thus far?
Hit and miss. I think last week was kind of hard to judge them because Colorado came in and their whole plan was to play run defense. They put 8 in the box, and they were very often walking up a safety at the last minute to have 9, and their whole game plan was obvious. They're going to fill in as many of the holes as possible and just say, A&M, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to throw. And after Haynes got hurt, quite frankly, Zach Calzada came in, and there were multiple times he had open receivers and just overthrew them. And I mean, when I mean overthrew them, I'm talking about like you're a 6'5" Jalen Wademeyer, and you're wide open at the 10-yard line, and he throws it 5 yards over your head. I mean, just airmailing it. So the plays to call were the pass plays. They were good plays to call. They just weren't executed at all until the fourth quarter. So had Zach been able to connect on some of those plays, it may have forced Colorado to adjust with their defense, and then maybe you would have gotten some more success in the running game. I will say on the last, I think it was on the scoring drive, Devon A-Chain went around left tackle for about 12 yards. And if you watch it closely, and I don't expect you to, but if you were, you'd see the freshman center, Bryce Foster, just decleat Nate Landman, the middle linebacker, who's Colorado's best player. And it was a big factor in him getting that, in A-Chain getting that game. So, it was up and down. It could have been better, but there definitely were some circumstances that were kind of beyond their control. But right now, I'd give them B- so far after 2 games.
Olin, are you telling us that Zach Calzada might have a little Nuke LaLoosh in him, where he can throw it far, he can throw it wherever you want, as far as you want to? We just don't know where just yet.
Yeah, one time back in the day, and Dave will know this, I had a friend, a coach named Dickie Meeks at Chapel Hill High School in Tyler, and we were talking and just about the time about his new quarterback, just about the time school was out, and there was about 15 school buses lined up, and we're about a quarter mile away. And I said, "Does he have a strong arm?" So yeah, he can throw it from here to those buses. You just don't know which one he'll hit. And I think right now that's kind of where we are with Zach, even though he threw some dimes on the last drive. Now, one time he had Isaiah Spiller open in the right flat for 20 yards easy, and he overthrew him by 3 feet. So I think, and who knows, we won't know until we see him play more. I think he was a matter, it appears that it was a matter of nerves, a matter of maybe being too amped up, whatever, but he did get better. And I think if you're an A&M fan looking for a silver lining, what you look for is the fourth quarter when he threw the ball better, and you say, okay, maybe he just got all the nerves out of his systems and then settled down. And we probably, I don't think the New Mexico game will answer that question. We won't know until they play Arkansas.
Olin, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. We'll be, I'm sure, reaching out to you again with the schedule they have coming up. Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com, at Olin Buchanan on Twitter. Here's what I do. I hand it to this guy named Spiller. I hand it to A-Chain, and I throw to the big tight end.
And I do little end arounds to Anaya Smith.
Yeah, let him kind of on
Anaya
occasion
Smith
get him
involved.
in space as well.
Yep. They're going to have some things to work through. They do have the buffer this weekend, which is good news. You have New Mexico, and then though it's on and popping. It's totally on after that. I think that Arkansas, like A&M and Arkansas, even if like one team's not even that good, which as of late has been Arkansas, is always a wild game for the most part. So now I think both should take care of business this weekend, and that should set up a little showdown in Arlington here in 2 weeks. That'll be super juicy. And that's the thing about that SEC schedule is you turn right around and you play New Mexico, but then it's Arkansas, then it's I think they've got Mississippi State, it's Alabama, and so poor news, poor timing for the Haynes King injury, but at least Calzada will have a couple games before the grind really starts.
You know what, though? That was going to be a possible weakness, with all due respect to what Haynes King was as a high school player.
Yeah.
He didn't have the greatest senior year. He won a state championship, and he was the straw that stirred the drink, coach's son, all that. We know that. But I thought that there might be some bumps in the road only because of the fact that, man, that's just a different animal to try to ask a young quarterback to go. Yeah, I know Alabama's got a young quarterback, and I know that, and look what Ohio State's dealing with. That guy's been good, but he hasn't been great, Stroud. It's just, man.
Yeah, well, they had a young quarterback. They also have a brand new offensive line, or for the most part. So they had to replace multiple starters there, and now you're doing a young quarterback, rotation because now King is hurt. So Calzada's what grade is he?
He's a year ahead of him.
Yeah, a year ahead. So he's, I guess, somewhat young. But, yeah, I mean, you got two relatively inexperienced quarterbacks and inexperienced O-line for the most part. But thankfully, you've got a lot of good weapons. So like you said, get it to A-Chain, get it to Spiller, and so on.
All right, coming up, Grayson Grundhafer. Then we'll have Michelle Gardner. She covers